Pretty soon I decided to give it another go against another World Championship challenger, although he was not at the time, but he was already then very, very strong, who is Caruana. Okay, so I remember in this game, Caruana thought quite a bit over his first few moves. I probably didn't expect me to repeat the Dutch. Probably thought I was a one-off surprise, especially since my position after the opening as Vichy wasn't that impressive. But he's decided to go for some pretty standard stuff. So once again, c6. Probably would recommend you to go d5, because you don't always need to go c6. You can also go bishop b6, b6, bishop b7, and then play c5 in one go later. And who knows, maybe in some lines you can go knight c6 as well. Just not as stupid as it looks. But that's what's not something I'd quite learned yet, I guess. b3, queen e7, same stuff, and here he went bishop b2. So the point of going knight e5 here is after b6 you take on d5, like I explained from my game against Vichy, and then after cd you have knight to c4, not even the knight from d2 to c4, but the knight on e5. I had the game against Van Vele like this. He went this, knight c6. It's not too bad for black. Another thing that Seaman taught me, actually, like you can even play this, and it's not that bad, but it obviously isn't great either. Yeah, so he just went b3, which is obviously perfectly reasonable. b6, and now I have time for this, and now I can safely take back cd without any problems. Knight d2, castles. Sorry, he played bishop b2 earlier on, so bishop b, knight e5, bishop b7, bishop b2, castles, rook c1, a5, all very standard. It's just, of course, it's Turetsky's theory about the superfluous knight. So in the other game, one of the good things about Vichy's position was that he only had one knight to occupy e5, but here very often white wants both knights sort of to occupy e5. Both knights are vying for that square, so it makes sense to put the knight on a6. And then he went a3, knight a6, and he went knight b1 after thinking for quite a bit. And I remember that I got a bit stuck here, because his knight is coming to c3, possibly to a4, targeting the weakness that I've just created on b6. And the question is, like, now what? I've developed all my pieces. It looks fairly harmonious. But it feels like I'm not really in time for c5 stuff. And c5, then I feel like cd5 is coming. d5 is going to be a target, and it didn't look appealing at all. So I thought for a really long time here, and I came up with a concrete solution, which was to take on e5. And as far as I can remember, I don't think this is too great for black, objectively speaking. The point of this is that you often want these structures where black goes c5, white goes cd, ed, and you're sort of claiming that the bishop on b2 is going to be out of the game. s3 is obviously always answered by knight g5 then, and that the bishop on b2 is out of the game. Black knight is coming to e6, and that black is actually going to be doing pretty well. So he went queen e2, and here I decided not to go c5. And I think I'd already realized before I'd taken on e5 that the plan wouldn't work unless he took on d5. I think a sample line would be c5, f3, knight g5, knight c3, knight c7. Well, first of all, knight a4 is a bit awkward, but in general, as long as I don't get the e6 square, it doesn't look that appealing. He can go h4, knight f7, f4 sometimes, trying to kill that knight, apply pressure on d5, and it all looks passive, to be honest. It wasn't something that appealed to me. So I decided just to take action, and I went a4. Once again, going for active counterplay. And I remember vividly that his next move was a huge relief for me, which was knight to c3. I very much thought he was gonna simply chop off that pawn on a4. And here I have several moves. Knight to c5, for instance, he's gonna go f3 then, and then bishop a3 later on. I also could try something like c5, but that doesn't look too convincing. White could, for instance, go a5. Well, in short, I think white is a bit better after ba4, and I think alternatives should be sought earlier on for black. Maybe the whole a5 idea is just a bit slow. This whole knight b1 idea impressed me quite a bit. Well, he didn't. He went knight c3. Now I went a b, and queen b4. Once again, not too instructive stuff. Just very, very concrete. And he took d4. Now the knight is coming to c5, and black is just comfortable. But what I just wanted to show later on is how bad the bishop on g2 is. That's also one of the things that Simon explained to me, that the bishop on g2 is often gonna be worse than the bishop on b7. I believe that's something Kramnik wrote about as well many years ago. And in this case, it's you certainly have one knight that is fairly mobile and a bishop that isn't. He still should have made a draw here. For sure, he went rook e7. Maybe he could have gone f3 immediately, although that weakens the second rank. It doesn't look too dangerous. But he went for this. And eventually I managed to win. Yeah, here he was panicking a bit in time trouble. Once I get knight f3, takes. The rook ending is very, very difficult for him, since his king is caged in and this pawn on f3 is so strong. He went h3, g4, takes, h4, and as far as I can remember, he's not really in time to make a draw here. Just one more funny try is that he played e4 here, and if I take, that would be a bit too naive, because he gets the desperado rook with stalemate coming up. But after what I did, rook d4, check, rook a3, take c4, take f3, king e7. He's completely lost. Rook e4 is coming in after rook e3, rook d4. It's still, it's quantitatively we have the same amount of pawns, but qualitatively it's a whole different story. And the game finished very quickly. He tries his last try is that he wants to keep my king out of the game, but unfortunately for him, f3 is falling, and after f3 I gave a check, king h2, rook f4, and he resigned.